The Hamburglar forms a ragtag gang of fast food misfits. A Fringly Reddit story. When you're doing time, there are only two things that matter: how much time you have left and how much cred you have in the yard. When the gangs found out that I was inside for robbing a restaurant, well, my yard cred plummeted, and that's when the problem started. They called me the Hamburglar, and to my irritation, the nickname stuck. Everywhere I went, I heard it yelled after me, and when you're a joke, no one respects you. Sometimes it was just being barged past in the lunch queue. Sometimes it was having things stolen from my cell. It just kept getting worse up right up until the day I met Grimace. That was when things finally began to turn around for me. He was a big guy, probably near 7 foot or so, but he wasn't the sharpest nail in the wall. They had him up against the fence as they did with new fish, and while he could have beaten them all down, he just stood and took it, even when they began to hit him. I watched for a while, reluctant to put my last. Few scraps of cred out there for a new guy, but when he started to cry, I had to move in. I pulled off Tracy, the leader of the Latino Kings, and pushed him back, sending him sprawling into the dirt, then turned to the big guy. "You okay?" Big tears rolled down his cheeks. "I think so, sir." I tried to smile, aware that the Latinos were closing in. "Okay, well, we're just going to have to." I saw the strike moving towards me and spun away, sending Tracy's shiv whistling just past my side. He screamed in anger and turned to strike again, but from somewhere Grimace had found some courage. Wordlessly, he stepped forward, grabbing Tracy by the neck and lifting him, catching his arm and squeezing until the shiv dropped and then continuing to squeeze his throat. Tracy turned blue, then red, and Grimace's face matched it, darkening to purple in anger. Hey, it's okay." I touched him gently, and he looked to me, and his anger seemed to leave him, and he smiled, then dropped the smaller man. He hung his head. "Sorry, I just didn't want him to hurt you." I led him away quickly, as the gang gathered round their fallen leader and before the guards could come to investigate the commotion. We'd have trouble later, but for now it seemed I had a friend, and a big one at that. His name was Ted, but everyone called him Grimace, as his face was a little twisted and he always seemed to be scowling. It made him a little scary to look at, but he was as soft as could be. He told me his story, a short one as it happened and easy to understand. He was a farm boy, moved to the city when his folks' farm went under, and some guys had used him as muscle to pull some robberies. He wasn't smart enough to deny it when the police asked him, and so he ended up here, just another fish. I might have been dead if he hadn't found his courage, but he was the one who decided that he owed me, and from that day on he stuck by my side, letting me think for us both and keeping us safe with the sheer intimidation of his size. A week or so later, the Latino Kings ambushed us, and I got to watch us. He slammed them about like slabs of meat, leaving one dead and Tracy on life support for a month. It took me a lot of bribing to keep him out of the guards' notice after that, but suddenly I had some cred and I used anything I could to divert attention away from us. After that, we weren't alone anymore. Some of the misfits, the guys who had no other place to go, would come to see me and ask to stick close. After a few weeks, there was us, a guy called Mac, the mayor, who was indeed a disgraced mayor, and a bunch of little nuggets who we looked after. It wasn't much, but it was a family and we looked out for our own. Things went well for a while until '93 rolled around and they started to go great. An early parole program came around and all nonviolent offenders had the chance to apply. It didn't take much to get some bribes to the right people, and in just a few months the gang was on the streets. We had our own little place in a halfway house and good friends to keep us sane, but there was still something missing. In prison you only have two things: how much time you have left and your cred, but on the outside neither of those means anything anymore. No one wanted a group of ex-cons working for them, and the jobs we could get, well, they didn't pay much. We used to talk about what we could do to make ends meet, and I suppose it was natural that sooner or later someone would mention the obvious: we could go back to crime. I didn't want to go back inside, but it was different this time. We were smart and had a plan. It hadn't been lack of intelligence that had caused me to hit a restaurant the first time I got put away. It was the same thing that Tarantino had noted in Pulp Fiction. They were high-value and low-risk robberies. With our plan, we'd hit fast food places on the highway. There was enough money to make it worth it, and we could be in and out fast, then away on quick roads before the cops could arrive. The first three places were great, good money, and the plan worked perfectly. I went in with Grimace and Fry, while the mayor kept the engine running and we got out of there fast. We were smart, we were quick, we were organized, and then we were stupid. It was easiest to hit the nearest highway and move on along the way to the next place we hadn't hit, but if it was easy for us, then it was even easier to figure out for the cops. 3 days later, we hit a burger place and they were waiting. They let us get inside and then surrounded the place, huge glass windows giving them the shot they needed to take us out at any time. I could see the police chief, his red hair a slash of color against the blue and black of the tactical uniforms. He told us to come out with our hands up, and I thought of what it'd mean. Going back inside, more years off my life, and no early parole this time. I'd die inside. I thought about it and then made my choice. One last bite of a burger, one last drink of a milkshake, and then lock and load and out the door hot, taking as many of the bastards with me as I could. Out of the frying pan and into the flame grilling fire.